let's move on to the last presentation, developing interdisciplinary adaptation initiatives within Columbia.
So, hi everyone. Thank you for coming today. My name is Karina Robles, and I was the project manager for the steering group committee. Next slide. For the past 4 months, our group has been working with the steering group committee, which is an interdisciplinary climate adaptation initiative based here at Columbia. So the steering group committee focuses on 3 thematic areas. 1, documenting and evaluating adaptation efforts in the New York City region. 2, managed retreat, and 3, ecosystem-based adaptation in developing country protected areas. And so with these frameworks in mind, we decided to create 3 deliverables. And so they were, 1 was planning a panel, which is the little circle, and then writing a literature review, and updating the steering group committee website. And in addition to that, our team members attended reading seminars and wrote about their experiences for the State of the Planet blog. One of the first things we wanted to do was update their website to just make it more user-friendly. And our team member, Emily, worked on this deliverable, and she suggested that there be infographics in order to make it more user-friendly. In addition, we created an introduction video for the steering group committee members, but unfortunately, due to time, we cannot show it, but I definitely recommend going on the website and checking that out.
Hi everyone, my name is Eden, and with my team members Jessie and Cornelia, this semester I've been working on compiling a literature review for the Adaptation Initiative. So just to go over what the purpose of this literature review was, so kind of in line with the Adaptation Initiative's aims of generally documenting literature and research in regards to climate adaptation, and we kind of conducted this literature review in order to compile new research and identify authors in various fields that are pioneering problem-solving techniques and new solutions to climate adaptation. So this semester, the steering committee was looking into policies of managed retreat. So in order to address this really broad concept in a methodical way, we split up our research to cover 3 kind of adjacent topics. And these are the ethics and perception of sea level rise adaptation strategies. The second was a policy discussion of managed retreat schemes in developed countries. And the third was a policy discussion of managed retreat and adaptation schemes in small island developing states. So the research into these 3 topics kind of allowed us to observe policy discourse and how managed retreat has been carried out historically, as well as what current policy discourse looks like and how that is shaping future policies. So while our first bundle covered perceptions driving the formulation of managed retreat policies, our second and third bundles covered the implementation and application of these retreat policies. The second did so in developed countries, and the third was referring to small island developing states. So the research that we conducted involved consulting a list of journals that covered a vast range of fields in order to represent the interdisciplinary approach of the Adaptation Initiative itself. So we ended up looking at a lot of journals that covered the topics of climate science, sociology, as well as law. And in addition to academic and scholarly work, we also looked at reports commissioned by different international organizations such as the IPCC, the World Bank, and the IMF. So a lot of our work has so far included looking at case studies from various settings to understand the different factors affecting the development and implementation of managed retreat policies. Challenges so far have included kind of like limiting the scope of our research and creating linkages between the 3 different topics. But about a month into our review, once our team members had gotten a sense of where the literature was and like what different authors were talking about, we were able to differentiate and clearly define our different focuses. So just to go over one of like our final takeaway points for our first bundle. We reviewed survey-based analysis of various stakeholders' perception of strategies for asset compensation and relocation, and we found that a lot of the concern for policymakers lies with the perception of compensation and retreat strategies as an indicator of political salience rather than compiling a comprehensive ethical framework for what retreat might mean. Our second deliverable found that managed retreat policies are preferred over hardline defenses in developed countries, as it is generally economically efficient in place of physical barriers, and we found that for these schemes to be successful, local community engagement and education on the technical issues of climate change adaptation is important. And for our final bundle, we found that including migration and displacement policies in national development documents and policies, or on climate adaptation and disaster risk reduction is highly suggested. And lastly, we found that displacement from slow onset climate events will require construction of labor migration programs that incentivize mobility. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Ahima Ofereta, and I was the task manager for the panel. So we decided on the panel because the steering group committee's aim is to foster interdisciplinary awareness and conversation on climate change. And we thought that a panel would be a great way to bring people from different disciplines together to really have a more holistic and inclusive conversation. And we decided to focus on the theme of managed retreat, especially based on our literature review. So the process of planning a panel, we started with picking a date, which was April 19th, and with the help of Professor Gerard, who is a steering group committee member as well as a professor in the law school, we were able to secure a room in the Jerome Green Hall. Then we had to look more into managed retreat, and we realized that, well, we should focus on small island developing states because they are the most vulnerable countries. And luckily for us, there were 4 fellows from the Alliance of Small Island Developing States, AOSIS, who were in Professor Gerard's class. So we had the chance to interview them, and from that we were really able to narrow our focus on the theme, and we came up with the theme of navigating resilience in place in an age of retreat. After we had figured out our theme, we looked into who to invite, and we created a concept note and highlighted the theme and really went over what we hoped we would get out of the conversation. And from there we started to email our panelists. We had a good selection of panelists, I think. We had 2 steering committee members, Professor Horton, who is also the instructor of our class, and a climate change scientist. And we also had Dr. Lisa Dale, who served as a moderator, and she's the undergraduate, she's a lecturer in the undergraduate program for sustainable development. To have a more personal and inclusive conversation, we reached out to people who are from small island developing states. So we had Angela Burnett, who is a climate change officer for the government of the UK Virgin Islands, and Taranaki Tanalu, who was one of the 4 fellows for AOSIS, and he was from the Kiribati. To have a more global outlook, we had a member from the UNDP. Her name was Cassie Flynn, and she was the advisor to the president of Fiji on topics of climate change. After we had gotten our panelists to confirm, we began to promote the event. With the help of Haley, we were able to put it on the Earth Institute's website and Facebook page, and we started to put flyers up on campus. So I think that we had a very inclusive conversation, and also we were able to form connections with the UNDP and the government of the UK Virgin Islands, as well as the Kiribati mission to the UN I believe that the Earth Institute and the Steering Group Committee will be hosting a 2-day panel next year. So this would help with securing panelists for that event.
Hi, my name is Lomlum. I also worked on the panel, but another portion that I helped partake in is the reading seminars. And so since spring of 2017, the Adaptation Initiative has instituted a reading seminar. Yes, a reading seminar series to foster intellectual conversation on issues in relation to climate adaptation. And so each session is facilitated by a different EI scholar involving various readings to have a broad conversation on these issues. And so this semester there were 4 topics that were covered. And so our idea, me and Bitsit, another member of our team, decided that it would be best to attend these reading seminars and do blog write-ups in an effort to make the EI website a little user-friendly and have these topics be spread to a greater audience. And so the 4 that were held this semester included various topics, including optimum protective measures for the New York City infrastructure for future hurricanes and sea level rise, disability and adaptation planning, urban adaptation in New York City, and adaptation, mitigation, and land tenure in the Brazilian Amazon and other tropical forests. And so these topics were facilitated by various speakers within the AI community, including George Giudatis, Lisa Dale, Jackie Klopp, Nilda Meza, and Maren Greenleaf. And so again, as I mentioned, it was our idea to attend these reading seminars, take notes, and then do blog write-ups that will then be posted on the Planet of the Earth website. So at this point, we have written them up, and so now it's just a matter of sharing them on the Planet of the Earth website. So yeah.
This is our question slide, but we would also like to thank Professor Horton and Bridget and Haley for assisting us throughout the semester, and just wanted to say thank you guys. This wouldn't have been possible without you. So thank you.
Questions?
So I went to the talk, which was fantastic, by the way. It was very good. I was just curious, though, did you guys have a client? Or, so sorry, and if I missed that. So who is the client for
The client was the steering group committee, which is they're a committee at Columbia, which is focused on climate adaptation, and they focus on 3 different areas, which I can mention again if you want.
No. I missed that it was the steering group committee.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Sorry,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Cool.
You mentioned that part of your panel was prepping panelists for a panel to come. When would that be?
Tentatively next year around this time.
Hi, I know that part of the panel was resilience in place in an age of retreat. What issues did you find, especially in the literature review and during the panel, in terms of people's perception of retreat versus resilience in place in this age and time, especially since climate change isn't on, the main face of reality for most of the people on the ground? Did you find any issues finding information about people's perception about retreat instead of resilience in place?
Okay, so first, the reason why we chose this theme is because of that. So when we were researching more on managed retreat, in the context of small island developing states, there was more of a focus of retreating or migrating in terms of like the academic world or like internationally. But when we started to interview the fellows from the Alliance of Small Island States, we realized that, well, they had no intentions of retreating. A lot of their focus is, is based on, climate change, it's basically, they're trying to, what's the word? They're trying to stay where they are because these are their countries. They were born here. They were there. Their ancestors lived there, and so they really have no intention of moving. And so we realized that those are polar opposite ideas, and we decided to bring that into the conversation.
Do they feel that the sea would not rise sufficiently that it would inundate their island, or do they feel like the island is big enough that moving inland would suffice, or what do they envision if they want to stay?
So there are different sets of small island states. Some of them are actually countries, so it doesn't make sense why it's called small island states. Some people do, some islands are big enough for them to move inland, but some islands aren't. They believe that talking about retreats kind of stops people from talking about the real issue, which is climate change. And so climate change needs to be talked about and needs to be focused, like a lot of attention needs to be focused on that so that they can stay where they are. In terms of how they feel about sea level rise, I'm not really sure.
Last questions?
That convenes the formal program. We encourage everybody to mingle, have some refreshments, and good luck in final rounds of finals and all that. Yeah, just let's give a final round of applause to all the speakers, all the projects. It was great to hear what you're doing, and thanks for all the support. I'm glad Haley was mentioned as well for all that she did to support the group this semester. Lisa Dale in the audience, and others we didn't have a chance to mention. So thanks, everybody.